Okay, perfect. All right, so it says that we're live on YT as well. So, guys, welcome, welcome. I am super excited to be chatting with you guys tonight. So, if you guys are new, I'm Dr. Mel, live your best life doing what you love, and I love government contracting. I've actually been in the space for 33 years and I've been teaching for 15. So, if you guys are new, welcome, welcome. So, we're going to be talking about a lot of things tonight. But most importantly, we're just going to be talking about how you could what potentially utilize strategy and also AI to win contracts in the excess of $100,000. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. So grab your notebook, grab your water, put your feet up, and let's dive in. All right, so guys, one of the things that we do as government contractors, right, is we want to make sure that we're always looking at our systems and our processes to make sure that they're strong, right? And so, what's really cool about the way I teach my team is that I'm always teaching my team to get better, right? And so, I'm also always teaching my team to be able to utilize technology in order to get better. All right. And so if you have not started embracing AI, guys, you're truly, truly missing out. I have started ensuring that my community that they're taking at least 10 minutes, all right, 10 minutes each day. 10 minutes, I'm going to say 10 to 20 minutes. I'll say that because it takes me about 20 minutes each day to go out and to look for um, AI tools that you can use in your business to to get better. All right. We understand that technology is moving so fast and we cannot afford to get left behind. So, guys, if you would, I want this to be engaging and I want it to also be informative. So, again, if you guys are new, welcome. I'm super excited that you guys are joining me. And I know some folks are just going to be watching this later on school, and some folks are also going to be watching this later, probably in the TT community that may go over to YT in order to see a replay of it. So, guys, again, I've actually been in this space for 33 years and love it. Right. I understand that success is a system. I understand that government contracting is a system. I also understand that when I meet with small business owners, when they say that they really want to do better, right? And when they say that they want to earn more money, when they say they want to grow and scale their business, I have to make them pause so that we can look at where they are and where they're trying to go. And I've got a resource that you guys can grab. It's in the bio, right? And it basically says if you're here and you want to get there, what you have to do in order to get there. And so a lot of my students, they're wanting, first and foremost, they're wanting to hit a milestone of $100,000. And guys, that is so easy. That is so easy with government contracting. And you guys know that I have folks that are in the local, state, and also the federal contracting space. So it doesn't matter where you are. If you are starting out from zero and you're trying to grow and scale, right? Winning a micro purchase contract is easy. We understand that micro purchases are $10,000 or under, right? And most of my students that are starting with me now, they're going over to their local cities, their local counties, right? And or their state, and they're looking for contracts there, right? And then they're stacking those contracts, right? They're stacking those contracts. So if you're trying to get to $100,000, which is so easy, right? You just stack maybe we'll say 10 contracts, right? And when we're thinking about how to stack 10 contracts to get to $100,000, all right, there's strategy that's involved, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. And also we're going to be talking about how to use AI in order to make your strategy more effective, right? So again, guys, welcome, welcome. I always talk about my students, and because I have so many students, I don't want to get their names confused. So I will always say Michelle and Jonathan, right? So when you hear Michelle and Jonathan, it's not the same student. It's just me saying, okay, I've got a student, her name may be Amy, but so that I'll remember it in my mind, I'll just call her Michelle when I'm telling the story to you guys. But I've got a student and her name is Michelle, and she's actually been in HR for 20 years, right? She's been in consulting. I think I may have told this story to you guys on yesterday. And so she was hustling and hustling and grinding, right? But she was not making the type of money that she wanted to make. All right. But she decided that she was interested in government contracting. So she and I had a one-on-one, and you guys know I have those available. So you can guys go to my bio, click on a one-on-one, and we can sit down and chat about it. We can find out where you are and where you're trying to go. So she and I had actually had our one-on-one. At this point, it's been over 9 months ago. And she said that she needed to find high value and high paying clients. I know you guys can relate to that, right? You have clients, but they're not high value, nor are they high paying clients. And so I was like, okay, that's what we as small business owners, that's what we all seek. And even on this app, it's so funny. It's so funny, even on this app or on a TT, as you guys are engaging, right, with one another, you want to, make sure that you're engaging with high value individuals. You don't want to just be because they followed you, you follow them. They followed you, you follow them, because you're trying to get to that 10K number, or some of you guys are trying to get to that 1K number. You want to make sure we've got a flash goal. Let's see what it is. We got a flash goal. All right, easy peasy. But just because they follow you, you don't want to follow them. You want to make sure that you're following and you're surrounding yourself with high value individuals. And so she found herself being in business, but she had clients that were raggedy, right? I don't know if you guys have heard that word before, like raggedy, right? And they were raggedy, meaning that they were not high value clients, paying on time, inconsistent communication. You guys know, right? And so that gave her stress, right? She thought she wanted to have this business, right? We all think that we want to be our own president, CEO, right? Until we actually start working, and then we'll be like, oh my God, I don't know if I really want to do this. And so that's where she was when she and I met. She was like looking for a high value client. And so as I teach guys, the government is that high value client. Why? Because it spends over $700 billion, at least it did last year, in this marketplace on what products, goods, and services. And 23% of that money has to be spent with small business owners, right? They pay on time. They're regulated by the FAR, right? And so they are different from the commercial or the private client, right? Because they're regulated. You know what I'm saying? They can't just do what they want. They can't just not answer your call, right? Even though sometimes you have to email a contracting officer a couple of times. But, regardless of that, they do have to respond. And especially if you're dealing with a contracting officer and you're responding to a solicitation, they have to respond to you. So again, when we first met, she was like, oh my gosh, I actually need, some consistent revenue. And I understand how sometimes being in business and having inconsistent revenue can potentially destroy you, right? Because your rent still gonna come in every month. Light bill, telephone bill, insurance, all of those things that we have to pay for, they're still going to come in every month, regardless of whether our clients pay on time. But anyway, again, we talked about it, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, is how do you find, right, the right client? And I say the right client is what? Under your nose. You have not been taught how easy government contracting is because they don't teach it, right? They don't teach it. They didn't teach me, right? And I've got a couple of degrees, right? They didn't teach me. I was taught differently. I was taught to go to school, get a good education so I could get a good job, right? So I could make someone else rich. And hence, that's what I did, right? Until I landed my first contract. And after I landed my first contract, I was like, what they told me, that wasn't true, right? That wasn't true at all. So hence, Michelle ended up, right, looking into government contracting. And I even have a resource, right, that you guys can easily download. It's called the GovCon Income Map. That's what it is. So if you're not sure if you want to engage in government contracting, you can actually start there and figure out where to go, right? Because people be like, well, where do I start? Right? You start at the GovCon Income Map, right? That'll help you decide, if you're here, where do you go? Because some folks that come to me, they either have a business or they're just thinking about starting the business. They don't even know, I don't know what to name my business. I don't know how to structure my business. And so we talk about that. Again, I don't give, direct guidance on how to structure your business because I'm not a financial advisor or a tax professional, even though I used to be for 25 years. But you have to make sure that you structure your business so that it gives you the best benefit, right? So typically an LLC or an S Corp, even a C Corp is viable, especially depending on where you are. But guys, so you don't have to figure it out at the beginning. You just have to know that there's another way, right? There's another way. Because again, my students, they start and they don't have a clue, right? But they know that the way that they are currently running their business is not working, right? The evidence is in their profit margin, right? Their profit and loss statement, right? They are probably borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, right? They're stressed, right? And they're working, but the time that they're working, right, and their purse or their wallet, it doesn't match, right? And so they think that they have to continue to hump and grind. But while we do have to push, we can't, so it's not true that you can just live this life where you're not working. You can't do that until such time that you put the proper systems, all right, in place that you can do that. And then even then, when you get those systems in place, because I'm very transparent, you still have to monitor your business. We talked about that last night, making sure that you have, a foreman or a GC in place to help you, monitor your business, because it's really, really easy to win a government contract, right? Easy to win, very easy. Why? Because success is a system, government contracting is a system as well, right? But it's more difficult to manage that contract. And so you don't need to rise your goals, guys. You just need to fall into a system. All right. So your goals can stay the same. You just need to have a system in order to execute, right, your vision. And most of my small businesses, they don't even have a plan. I know we all know when we start a business, we need to have a business plan, right? That is still a real thing, right? You just can't just swim around and be like, I'll just figure it out, right? You have to have some type of plan, some type of strategy. And that's what we're talking about here tonight. So if you guys are new, we're talking about how to use strategy, how to use AI to potentially win $100,000 contract and or more, right? Because that's a basic number, right? The students are winning of course, 6 figures and 7 figure contracts easily, right? And you can do that as well with the right system and or process. All right, guys. So we're going to be again talking about AI and what it takes in order to start contracting. I always really kind of start with the federal side, but you don't have to necessarily start on the federal side. So when I say, you can start government contracting with, only 3 things, right? All you need is of course you're in business, but all you need is your SAMS.gov, SAM.gov registration, your UEI, and your next codes. That's all you need in order to start. Briefly, we talked about your capability statement. What is your capability statement? And if you guys are returning, some of the things that I teach is going to be repetitious, right? Because I don't know who's coming into the room, right? But a capability statement is your company resume, right? And so you need that. So if you're trying to find a prime contractor or you're trying to find a subcontractor to do the work, right? They need to know who you are. And so having a strategic, well-written, well-designed capability statement, all right, or business resume, all right, will help contractors, subcontractors, and also prime contractors, and also contracting officers to know who you are, what you do, and how you can benefit them. Guys, the name of the game is trying to figure out how you can solve the federal agency or local or state agency pain point. They don't care about who you are, your certifications, none of that, right? They want to know how can you help them to solve their problem, right? And so when you're building your capability statement, you have to speak the right language. And so again, the capability statements, they change. And again, I tell my students, make sure that you don't have an old capability statement or old past performance. That stuff is old, it's stale, it's outdated. So if it's older than 6 months, guys, you need to redo it. And you need to make sure that you're using the proper words and the proper structure so that when it goes into the contracting officer's scan, right? Okay, the words will be picked up that will match the solicitation, right? So if we're using AI, government contractors are using AI as well, right? We're trying to make our life easier. They're also trying to make their life easy. So if they receive, just say, and this is typically not the case, but it could be. Let's say they receive 100 solicitations or 100 proposals for one solicitation, and they're trying to weave out the folks that just don't understand. They just submitted something, right? So they're going to take that document and they're going to scan it, and AI is going to read it, right? And it's going to look for the keywords. It's going to look for the past performance. It's going to look for the certifications. It's going to look for the set asides, if it's a set aside, to say, this is a proposal that I need to take a look at closer. And then they'll put it to the side. But then when they scan other solicitations, or other proposals, right? When they scan other proposals and they don't find those key words, they find an outdated proposal that's talking about what we did and how we did this, and our degrees and our certifications, right? They'll quickly be able to say that's not what I'm looking for, right? And then at the end of the day, they'll have a handful of proposals that they can actually take a closer look at. And so what we understand, unfortunately, we understand that people they don't want to update things. You know what I'm saying? They're lazy. That's what we understand. We understand that folks are lazy. And so just being that type of small business that will do what other folks won't do, making sure that you have a clean and fresh and updated capability statement is going to set you above the rest, right? Above the rest. And so we teach our students and our business owners how to use ChatGPT to write proposals. We teach them how to take a proposal and upload that proposal into ChatGPT, and we teach them what prompts to use in order to get the information that they're needing in order to what? Not just submit a proposal or a quote, but submit a potential winning proposal and or quote, right? We're in it to win it, right? We're not just playing around, right? We're just not doing something to just be doing something, right? Because we understand that time is more valuable than money, regardless of what we used to be taught, that time is money and money is time. So we want to make sure that we're making our first impression a lasting impression, right? We want to be, if possible, the only choice that the contracting officer sees when they're reviewing a solicitation, an RFP and or an RFQ. All right, so guys, I do want to make this engaging because I know you guys know I can talk for 4 hours straight without getting tired, but I want to find out how many of you are, as you guys go ahead and put in where you're from, because I always like to know where you're from. Because when I'm able to know where you're from, that I can determine if we have someone in our community that Mississippi, hello, that you guys may be able to partner with, right? To partner with. And then also, if I know your industry, this is what we do every day. Every day, guys. I won't say 7 days a week. I'm going to say 5 days a week. We're looking for opportunities, and we're looking for, if you're a part of our community, so someone is in trucking. That's an amazing, amazing industry to be in. I actually just got off a live with Dwayne, who also is in trucking, and he has 20 18 wheelers and just won a huge contract. I'm not sure what state it's in, but that's a really, really excellent industry to be in. There's lots of opportunities on the local, state, and also federal entity. So guys, put in the chat. I think, I don't know if we hit our goal or we didn't hit our goal, but put in the chat, guys. Put in the chat if you've used AI to help you. If you've used AI to help you write proposals. Some people have, started writing proposals, and some people, have never written a proposal, right? So put in the chat if you've used AI, or if you're currently using AI to help you write proposals. All right, because again, that's part of being in our community. It's kind of like, if you're going to come to class, you have to come to class and you have to do the homework that the teacher assigns. And I guess I'm the teacher, right? And so, and the reason I assign homework like every day for about 10 to 20 minutes, go online and start practicing with AI, is because I want my business owners and my students to be experts, all right? Experts in understanding which tools they can use to give them which results. Because you guys know, everybody knows about ChatGPT, right? But there's so many other tools out there that can help you with pricing, right? Help you with, and we have a tool, it's called GovCon Scout, and it actually helps you if you're practicing the middleman strategy. And so right now it's in beta testing. We had probably about, I think about 8 or 9 folks that use the tool. And then we actually did find some bugs, which is what we wanted. And so we're working on fixing the bugs, and I think it'll probably be updated maybe on Monday. But with GovCon Scout, it's a tool, right? It's an AI tool, right? I have an agent, an AI agent added to the tool that's going to go out and find information for you and your company. So it's like you have your special, your own private, right? Specialist, AI contract specialist, right? That you can call upon every day to help you find prime contractors and also subcontractors to work with. So I'm really, really excited about that, because what we know is that government contracting is simple, right? But the reason that many of my students don't go hard in the pain is because of time constraints. They'll be like, oh, Dr. Mel, my student, why is it so hard? Right? It's not hard. It's just that we don't have systems in place to make our life easy. And really, everybody is looking for that life work balance. It is a real thing, right? Because burnout is really real. Obesity is really real. Mental health is really a real thing. And so we have to what? Create, all right? Find and or create systems and processes to make life fun, to make this thing fun. All right. And so that's what my team does. If I find out, okay, folks are having problems with what? Finding time to find the contracts, right? If you're a part of the accelerator community, right, we find the contracts for you. And of course, the inner circle, we find the contracts for you. And we offer them to you. We like, okay, we found 5 contracts that are in your NAIC, right, in your industry niche code that you can go after. Right now, it's up to you if you want to bid on those contracts. But also, what we are doing is we're also, again, saying, okay, we found the contract for you. Now, if you're practicing the middleman strategy and you're looking for someone to what's up with, we're going to give you this app, the GovCon Scout. And you just take the solicitation that we gave you, you upload it, right? And it will help you to identify potential prime contractors and or subcontractors that you could partner with, right? It creates an email, right? The initial email that you use in order to say, hey, I have a project, not necessarily a government contract project, right? Because these folks are potentially your competitors, even though I don't like that word, right? I don't like that word. But so we don't tell them everything in the email, but we basically just say, hey, we've got this project that we're working on, and we found your information, be it on LinkedIn, SAM, or usaspending.gov, and we're looking to see if we can partner with you. And so it writes the email, and all you got to do is push the button, send the email, right? And so everything that my students tell me that makes it hard, we're fixing that so that people will not have an excuse, right? One of my mentors says you either have to invest time or money. Sometimes you have to invest a little of both. But what I understand is that everyone can win, right? You just don't know how. And maybe you've just not been taught how to set up systems and processes in order for you to get to the bag. And that's what we're talking about. So guys, if you are new, welcome. Tonight we're talking about strategies, right, and systems to include AI to help you to win a $100,000 contract. Easy peasy, easy peasy. All right. So I always believe that making sure when you're starting out, right, in any endeavor in life, that your foundation is strong, right? Your foundation is strong. And so with that, even if you're new to government contracting, and many of you guys are new, or you're interested in it, right? You're not, because if you're in my live, if you come to my live, which we have it every night at 6:30, if you come here, you are potentially a small business owner, or you seek to become one, and you're not making the kind of money that you want to make. And so therefore you're looking for another way. Some people call it multiple streams of income, like, oh, I'm looking for another stream. For most of my students, it is their only stream of income, meaning that's what they do. They're not, dabbling and dibbling and dabbling, right? This is what they do. Why? Because one government contract, a 6-figure government contract, can replace 100, if not more, regular clients, right? Regular monthly clients. And so that's what we're trying to do. So, we need to stop guessing and start generating. All right. And here's what I teach my clients. I teach them the 3 P's, right? You have to prep, position, and partner, right? We are better together. And so being in a community like this every night, seeing the same people in the room, right? Finding out what people do, because now I know many of you by name. I understand and I know where you're from and I know what you do. Thank you so much, Rodney, and welcome. I know what you do, and it allows me when I am in my um, accelerator program with my team and or the inner circle, I'm like ding, ding, ding. I know what Rodney does. Ding, ding, ding. I know what Station Tech does. I know what Chef does. Single Chef does. I know what Coach G does, right? And so I start to associate, and then I have my team all the time to send out solicitations and say, hey, we were in a meeting and we thought of you. This may be something that you're interested in looking at. And even if it is something that you're interested in looking at and you don't know where to go, schedule a meeting with Doc, and she can help guide you to the next steps. So that is what we're doing, right? It is so much money in government contracting, right? $700 billion is spent. 23% of that has to go to a small business. Why? Why not get some of that? Right? And even I talk about the numbers, it just makes sense. So if you're on your job 360 and you have to go 365 days every day for, a year, and they give you 2 weeks vacation, just to say that they do. I don't know if they do. Maybe they give more now. I don't know. And I don't even know if they give a lot of raises and stuff like that. When I was back in the day, they would give maybe a 3% raise or something crazy, right? Yeah. So regardless of what I was doing, it was capped, right? And so if you just do the math and you say, okay, just say you got one of those good jobs where you're making 100,000 plus a year. Let's just say $100,000, right? Even though I know because I'm a SCORE mentor, that my small businesses and my employees, they're not making $100,000, right? They're not making that much. But let's just say you're making that on your job, $100,000, right? We know that there's so many restrictions to that money that it's crazy. We know that you only can get 2 weeks vacation, maybe 3. We know that you're not going to get a raise. And if you do, it's maybe a 3%. You might get a little Christmas gift or a bonus or something like that. But with winning one contract, right, you can make $100,000 with one contract and you don't even have to do the work. We talked I think on Monday, about the government is the number one client and you're the connector, right? You don't even have to do the work. You can subcontract it out, right? But all of that requires prep, position, and partnering, right? And that is what we teach. That's what it's about. Thank you so much, Rodney, for the populars. I so appreciate it. All right, so guys, so your SAM profile, right, is your resume. A lot of folks don't even go and look at it. They set up their SAM profile. Let's just say you set yours up 6 months ago, right? And you've not looked at it. You've not looked at it for 6 months, right? It's probably stale. And we understand because technology is moving. And in every 30 days, technology, especially AI, automation, it's getting better, right? And so it's okay. You take that old 6-month-old, all right, SAM registration, and you look at it, all right, and you tweak it, right, to make it better. And that's something I really actually think I may want my team to do it every 60 days. Just take a look at it, right? If you've done if you've done additional work that you can add, if you met some contacts that you can add, right? That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that we stand out. And how do you do that? You do what other folks won't do, right? And that's making sure that we prep, position, and we partner. All right. And then you guys know that I have a digital marketing agency, right? So if you guys don't have a CRM system where you can automate your communications, with your subcontractors, with your prime contractors, with your with your um, with your contracting officers, right? All right. If you don't have those systems already in place, you're working too hard, right? You can automate emails and you need to have nurturing emails that's going to be going out. If you want to partner with someone, you know, and you get an alert on SAM that there's a pre-solicitation, right? You're like, oh my God, this pre-solicitation is just up my alley, right? Then you want to what? Start nurturing and sending out emails to potential, right? Subcontractors to say, hey, my name is da 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 da. All of this is automated, right? You don't want to have to be writing an email. You want to be able to send out, 50 to 100 to 300 to more emails on a daily basis to say, hey, this is who I am. Because you may not always find the opportunity. You may not always find the opportunity. If you're doing the nurturing like you should, a potential subcontractor, right, may find an opportunity to be like, you know what? I remember getting an email from Dr. Mel like last month, and she said she did this. Let me see if she's interested in this opportunity. That's how it works. But if they don't know you, if they don't see you, then they can't work with you. So we teach our small businesses how to prep, position, and also partner. Guys, we're better together. We use Go High Level, right? And so if you guys are interested in Go High Level or even being a part of our community, because we do it for you, we can actually do it for you, just let us know, put that in the chat or reach out to my team, because they do that, I don't do that. But you got to also learn how to build your capability kit once and be able to use it 10 times, right? Every day, every opportunity. We're not starting over from scratch, right? That doesn't make any sense, right? So we want to we want to bill it once, right? I don't know. It used to be somebody, I don't know. I think it may have been Coach G said he measures, he might measure 100 times or something like that, and he cut once. So maybe you guys have heard that. Same difference, right? We want to build our capability kit once, and we want to use it 10 times, right? And so, guys, you don't need more clients. Understand this. You don't need more clients. You need better contracts and better proposals. You don't need more clients, because guess what? Just get one. Get one client and pay you, I don't know, $580,000, right? That's doable. We could do that instead of having 15 clients, paying you I don't know, $1,500 a month, right? That's too much. That's a headache, right? And so, guys, let me know, guys. Let me know. All right. Yes. Hey, Miss Anderson. So, guys, Teresa Anderson is in the house. Teresa, did you want to come up? I can invite you up and we can talk about it. We're almost at the end, but we can chat, because I know you're doing some amazing stuff. I love reading your let me just see. If you want to come up, you can come up. You can always come up. I love reading your newsletter on LinkedIn, right? Because what you're doing is similar to what I'm doing, and that's just keeping our community abreast of what's going on. There's a lot of changes going on, guys. AI is all over the news, right? Things are getting better. Things are more systematized. I think that's a word, right? But but if we're not jumping on this bandwagon, right? If we're not teaching ourselves how to utilize these tools, guys, we're going to get left behind. We're going to get left behind. So, guys, we're talking about how to use systems and strategies in AI to make $100,000, by winning just one contract, right? to win one contract, you know. And there's different ways that you can start. There are different types of contracts. You know, we've talked about there's micro purchases, there's simplified acquisitions, right? There's full and open, right? And so there's direct awards, right? So you just have to figure out what avenue is best for you. And when you figure out which type of contract you want and like, I say go hard in on that type of contract. So local might be your thing. Micro purchases might be your thing, right? And that's not to say that once you get into local contracting that I don't want you to pivot into maybe, hey Nick, that I don't want you to pivot into federal spaces, right? But I want you to what? Um, my mentor said that he wanted me to what? Do the same thing until I make my first million, right? Till I make my first million, right? Just do the same thing until you made $1 million, and then you could do something different, right? So the same thing holds true to government contracts. Why, be trying to switch it up, do something different when you know what to do, all right? And so where do we find these contracts? If you're looking for federal contracts, we know that we're going to go to what? sam.gov, all right? And we know that DSBS, all right, is going to be the place that we update our SAMs, right? And we know that we can also go to teaming sites to find partners, and or we can you see I can. So guys, I got a couple things going on. So we're on YT and we're on TT, and I've got folks over here, and I was not even paying attention to them. And YT that's chatting. That is so cool, right? So I've got folks that's talking over here, right? And so yes, so I'm gonna have to kind of like go between two platforms, but it's cool. So it's a large community, right? It is like the large community, guys. We're better together. I love it. I love it. So yes, so we've got a question over here. That says, okay, one of the folks that's in YT is in IT consulting, right? There's so much in IT consulting. There's so much. What you almost can't really tell me an industry or a niche that there's not opportunities, right? Because I've been talking to you guys about that the World Cup is coming, right, in 2026. And when the World Cup gets here, there's going to be federal dollars that's going to be coming down because it's going to be 16 U.S. cities that's going to be hosting the cup. And so, thank you so much. And so, with that being said, the U.S. want to make sure that we do a good job, right, and that it's safe, that it's efficient, right? And so, transportation, they're going to be looking for transportation. If you guys are in security, right, they're going to be looking for folks that's in security to help with crowd control. If you have dogs, or if you even sell dog food, like my girl, right? They're going to have, canines that's going to be sniffing and walking around, right? If you are in catering, right, they're going to have all kinds of catering and events going on, right? Because the whole world, and I'm told that the World Cup is larger like than the Super Bowl. Like everybody loves soccer, right? So I am super excited because I know that it's going to be, there are going to be games here in Georgia. Super excited. So, okay. So I've got some folks that's here, and also some folks watching on YT. That is so cool, guys, because like I said, thank you so much, Station Tech. We have to make sure, because we don't know exactly the direction of this platform. We know some changes are going to occur, but we have to have our plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? We have to have our plan, right? So we're making sure that everything that we're doing, that we can sustain ourselves just in case some changes happen that we didn't anticipate. So contract opportunities for all kinds of folks. We know that even in the Department of Education, they released the funds on July 28th, right? And so consulting, if you guys are in consulting, if you guys are in education, if you are in English as a second language. I had a young lady, I don't know if she's still here, that she did translation, right? Thank you so much. There's opportunities. So my students don't even tell me. They don't even waste their time telling me, Doc, I couldn't find anything. They don't even do it, right? They don't even do it because I can go and find something for each and every one of them every day of every day of every month, right? So they don't even do that. That's like, they don't even do that because, again, it doesn't matter if you're looking in the state, local, or federal. And sometimes I'll say this because I did do a video on YT, and it says, "What do you do when SAM is dry?" Sometimes it is dry, meaning that you may not find a solicitation, an active solicitation that you can bid on. But what you may find is you may find a pre-solicitation. All right. You may find a sources sought, right? But when you don't, and if your space is the federal and you don't see something on SAM and you say it's dry, then what you need to do is what? Start going out and networking, right? Networking. You want to talk to contracting officers. Maybe you bid it on a solicitation 2 months ago, right? You want to what? Get on the phone and say, hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. You had a solicitation that I bidded on 2 months ago. Unfortunately, our team didn't win it, but I'm interested in seeing, if you have anything like that that's going to be coming down the pipe, and if so, can we talk about it? You also want to make sure if you went after that particular solicitation and you didn't win it, you want to make sure that you're immediately requesting an AAR, an after action review from that contracting officer. You want to say, hey, I'm new to the Department of Defense, and I actually saw your solicitation. My team, we went after that, proposal. We didn't win it, but what we want to do is, because we are, really excited about the opportunity of working with the DoD, we want to find out what we could have done, better in order to position ourselves so that, the next one we will win, right? Contracting officers, they're humans. They want to talk to folks that actually care about the solicitation, because some folks are, and especially larger companies, they're just putting in solicitations or proposals. They're just putting in proposals, all the time. But when a contracting officer has an opportunity to sit down with a real business to say, hey, what can I do better, right? Because even for contracting officers, right, things are changing for us. The requirements and the requirements and policies are changing for them as well. And so it may be, an opportunity for them to say, you know what, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it, right? I can't talk to you today, but you can get on my calendar for next week. And then they can talk to you about maybe some changes that have happened, in their department, right? They can say, yeah, well, we use AI for everything now, right? And so if your solicitation is not hitting these words, right, then you're not going to even be in the winning, right? So if we have those conversations with the contracting officer, we'll know how to position ourselves. So there's always something that we can do during downtime, right? There's always something that we can do. And again, when you go into SAM, and if you go into SAM and you don't see something, right, that's an opportunity for you to also to look at other prime contractors, to reach out to them, because you can just go into SAM, and if you're in IT, you can just look at the folks that won contracts in the last 90 days, 6 months, right, and say, hey, start calling those folks up, because they're if they're a large company, they have to find small companies, small businesses to to sub to, right? And if they don't know you exist, right, you won't be the one that they be like, oh. But if they know, because you've had that conversation with them, and then you've created through your CRM, right? Through your CRM system, right? A way to nurture on a regular basis, be it every, week, every 2 weeks, once a month. It doesn't matter. I would say more than once a month. All right. Um, then you always are what, front and center on their mind, in their face, right? And so, with that being said, some of you are also thinking about going after certification. Folks ask me every day, is certification a thing, Dr. Mel? It is. It's a thing. It is a thing, right? Because government contractors are still required by law to give a percentage of the contracts, again, to small businesses, 23%. And then, so if you're a female, I think it's 3%. I think it's 3% for veteran-owned small businesses. HubZone is kind of changing. Not HubZone. 8A is kind of changing a little bit, right? They're making folks do a lot of things that they didn't do, and what that means is that there's going to be opportunities. So if you are an 8A company, right, pay attention to the notices that are coming down, and just go ahead and get ready. Go ahead and position yourself to update your policies, and show up and get offices, and making sure that you do what you're supposed to do, because a lot of folks can be like, you know what, I don't, that's too much, I don't want to do it, and they just walk away from their certification. We talked about GSA. I know Teresa Anderson was on earlier, but GSA, there's changes in GSA, General Service Administration, right? That's a schedule where the federal government, if they're looking to buy, highlighters, they can actually buy from vendors that sell highlighters, right? But with the schedule, they're saying now, if you don't meet your minimum, right, they will kick you off the schedule, right? So when you get your schedule, they say you have to make, I don't know, just say, $20,000 every year. If you don't do that, right, through the schedule, they will kick you off the schedule. So it's easy, really, I believe it's easy for folks to be successful. Just do what other folks won't do. We know folks are lazy. We know they're not going to update their SAM. We know it's going to be outdated. We know that they're not going to update their capability statement. All right, guys. So I'm going to open it up, because we've been talking for almost an hour. I'm going to open it up for questions. It's very simple for you guys to utilize strategy, right, and technology, AI, to win your first $100,000 contract. Very simple, right? We know we need to make sure that we prep, position, and we understand how to partner, right? So you may not find the opportunity, but if you've networked and said, hey, I'm in the same space, I'm doing this thing, I know you're a prime contractor, and I teach my students also how to find their Dream 100, right? I think I teach them how to do that in the Tiny Challenge, right? Because all of my programs, they build upon the other, right? So you start off in the Tiny Challenge, right? And then from there, you get your foundation started. And then you can come to the Power Sprint. After you get everything done in the Power Sprint, then you can move up to the Accelerator. After you do that, right, and you're in the Accelerator, you can't get out of the Accelerator and go to the Inner Circle unless you won $2.5 million contracts, or collectively $2.5 million contracts, right? Because that says that your foundation is set up. I don't have to ask you, do you have capability statement? I know you have it. I don't have to ask you if you have your Dream 100. You have it. I don't have to ask you, because if you're in my Accelerator and you're in my Inner Circle, you already have a CRM system. It's probably with our company, right? Right? You already have a CRM. You're doing what you're supposed to. So you don't just jump from A to Z. It's a process, and we do it intentionally, right? People be like, oh, I just want to join the accelerator. No, right? Why? Because your foundation is not built, right? Your foundation is not built. I've not had anybody that has come to me and said that they wanted to join the accelerator and they was ready to join the accelerator, right? They were not ready. So any questions? Any questions? Yes. So yes, I know Station Tech, he did download the GovCon Scout. Again, guys, we had about 8-9 people to download it over the last 3-4 days. And we did find a couple of things that we're working on. So we're really excited about getting those things fixed and make it better. But it does work very nicely. Again, it is in beta. So we're really super excited. So told you, yes, you did say you were not playing, and you shouldn't be. Like, we understand you don't even have to do the work. Station Tech, you can what, sub it out, right? It's user friendly. Thank you so much for saying that. We wanted to make it user friendly because it just kind of says, if you're here again, go here, go to the next button, find your solicitation, and I teach you how to do that. Either there's a video on YouTube where you can go and I walk you through going through SAM, how to log in, how to do your advanced search, how to filter, right? So that you can find what you're looking for. You can filter by place of performance. You can filter by set asides. There's ways that you can filter. So we talk about that on these videos. So guys, if you've not even watched the videos, go over to YT and kind of check those out. And then if you are here, go ahead and check out, because I kind of give you the progression. Like if you're watching this video, you should probably watch this one next. So great app to become, yes. Again, I'll say probably like 75% of my students, they start with the middleman strategy. And they do that just to get the income really quick, right? To get a really good size contract, be it an $80,000 or $100,000 contract really quick. And then they just build from there. Someone asked me last night if we go after more than one contract at a time. Of course, does Elon go after more than one contract at a time? Right? Of course, right? But in order to do that, again, that's why we have a stair step where you start. So you start at the tiny challenge and then you go to the power sprint. You have to make sure that you can manage, right, more than one contract. And that means you have to have a strong foundation. You have to know what you're doing. You have to understand how to price that contract right, so that you can add. Thank you so much, Rodney, for the populars. I so appreciate it. I think we hit our goals. I don't know if we did tonight, but thank you so much. But you have to be able to price that contract right so that you make the profit that you want. Again, we always talk about how much profit should you make, right? There's no magic bullet or secret formula. Again, according to GSA or according to GSA and SBA, they say between 10 and 12%, but it depends on you and what you're trying to do. But I always recommend that we never, ever, ever lowball ourselves, right? Unless it's a strategy. And I don't teach that. I teach it really to my, I have taught it to the power sprint folks, but there has to be a reason. Let me give you an example of that really quickly. So let's just say, for example, you are looking out there and you see there's a contract at the Department of Transportation. This is a real life situation. You see it's a contract that's coming out with the Department of Transportation, but you never won a contract before, but you know you want to go and you want to win this. And how do you know about this contract? Because you have a CRM system and you've been nurturing, right? Contracting officers, because you can easily find them, get their email, right? You've been nurturing them for like 6 months. And someone said to you, hey, we're going to have a contract that's going to be coming out, and it's going to be a multi-state contract, and it's going to be about $20 billion. And so we're going to be looking for women-owned small businesses, blah, blah, blah. All right. So that whole thing. And you're like, I'm interested in that. But you never want anything with the Department of, with what did we say? DOT. So, but you're interested in it. So you might see a small contract that comes out with DOT, Department of Transportation, and you'd be like, okay, let me strategically go after this one to win it so that I can add that to my capability statement and my past performance, right? That would be a reason that you would what? Go in and win it, bid it to win it, right? Because you got a reason. You got a reason. You know that it's going to look really good on your in sam.gov that you've done work with the Department of Transportation before, right? But that's strategic. That's strategic. And most of my students, they don't even think that far. So those are the folks that are in my accelerator, typically in the inner circle. They know how to do that. They're like, okay, bet. They may even team with my company or another company that's in the inner circle, right? Just to get that past performance, right? It may just even be just a wash, right? Just a wash. They didn't really have to do anything, or they put a team in place to do the work, right? And then they didn't really make a lot of money per se, but they needed that past performance, if you will. They need that past performance. And it's almost like what we're doing now. Like, it's almost like what we're doing now. Like, I don't know if you guys are involved in like on Monday, everybody, they update and they refill their gift gallery, right? All we're doing is I'm exchanging my, $75 for your $75, right? It's an equal exchange. So it's all strategic, but you have to be in the room with the folks that will understand how to move and how to, how to strategize in order to what? Win $100,000 contract, $1 million contract, right? And so does anyone else, forgot I got to look over here too. Does anyone else have any questions? Why do we have to find subcontractors through USA Spending and the Gov site versus Google? That's a great question. So Google, guys, most people don't even use Google anymore, guys. People just use ChatGPT, Claude, or one of the AI, right? But in USA Spending, that platform, it tells, oh good, we didn't hit our goal, so we're almost there. Thank you so much. That platform, guys, it tells you who won it, how much they want it for, right? And so that's why you want to use that particular, woo, yay! That's why you want to use that particular platform to look for potential primes and or subs, because they're kind of vetted, if you will, right? And also, if they've done a really good job, they will get a rating, right? At the end of their contract, and that will also be uploaded into USA Spending. And so you don't want to be, hanging out and looking for folks that have a bad score, right? So you want like vetted. Like when we're engaging with folks here, we don't want to engage with somebody that came in the room, right, and didn't make a comment, that didn't engage, that didn't participate, right? So it's all it all makes sense. We want to get engaging, and we want to get certified and vetted primes and subcontractors to work with. All right, hopefully that answered that question. All right, anybody else have anything? This has been amazing. So we know if you guys are new on the weekend, we're gonna enjoy our weekend, but we're also gonna take a look back over the weekend. We're gonna say how many contracts did I or how many solicitations did I find? How many bids did I put in? Why didn't I put in more bids than I did? Did I have any issues that I can think about over the weekend? Not too hard, but think about that if I fixed would make me be in a better situation and or position in the upcoming week. So we always want to do that, right? Each and every weekend. right? And oftentimes, we even do that at the end of the day. We take a few minutes at the end of the day, be like, okay, what did I miss that I didn't do? And you guys know that I teach that big domino. We want to knock the big domino down first. So if you have an opportunity to go after a contract, right, that's going to be coming up in the next, let's just say 15 to 30 days. We want to go after that. We want to work on that first. The other little stuff, right? The other little stuff, we don't want to do that, right? And a lot of folks, you wouldn't believe that they don't understand how to prioritize their work. But we teach that in our community, right? Because some things that is easy for me may not be easy for the next person, but it's also sometimes because they were not taught how to prioritize. Okay. All right, so this has been amazing. I love it. I've already done my little look back, all right, over the week, and so it was really, really good. We got a lot of stuff happen. We got our app put on our platform. We've got new students. We've onboarded new students. We've got people that are actively working on contracts, right? So it's good. It is so good. So I am looking forward to you guys. If you need to connect with me, go over to my bio. You can go to learn more and connect with me over there. You can look in the resources. There's things there, right? I'm on School, right? That's my favorite place to be. On School, SKOOL, Live Your Best Life Collective, and also the $1 Trillion Client. And I'm there also on Fridays, so you guys can come with your proposals. RFP, RFQ, RFP, RFQ. Sometimes people just be coming in the room, they be like, I just want to talk. Nope, that ain't what we're doing over there. And it's between 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock every Friday. You can come over there and bring your proposal related questions, and we will look at them and we will go through them. And by the time, and it's first come, first serve, because sometimes I have like 3 or 4 people that's got questions, and then sometimes it's just, 1 or 2, right? So we go through those so that you guys can get unstuck. And you guys know, if you're working on a proposal or something and you need to get me straight away because it's due, right? You can just go and you can just go over and you can just go over and you can schedule a meeting with me, right? Okay. All right, that was cool. So we will be back tomorrow. Oh, thanks, Coach. Thanks, Coach. Hey, Coach. All right, we will be back here tomorrow, guys. We are doing some amazing things, and of course, we as a community, we are better together, and we can't do it without each other, right? We can't do it without each other. So, guys, if you're not networking and vibing with the people here, you need to do that. You really need to do that. All right. All right. So if I don't have any other questions, over here. With that being said, guys, this is your girl, Dr. Mel. Live your best life doing what you love. I love government contracting. And until next time, I want you to stay healthy, happy, and God bless. See you next time. Bye for now. Let's see. Bye, guys.